Darkness shivers through the corridors of the Imperial Palace as an unnatural stillness settles over Terra. Servo skulls hang motionless in the air, their sensors frozen, and the usual hum of machinery and chanting of tech priests has been replaced by a thick, oppressive silence. The lights flicker and fade into a sickly red glow, casting long, distorted shadows across the vast halls. Every echo, every creak of metal, seems amplified, as if the very palace is holding its breath. A heartbeat resonates from the Golden Throne, slow, heavy, wrong, sending tremors not just through the palace, but across the galaxy itself. Across distant systems, psychers collapse, their minds racked by a psychic surge that twists reality and warps perception. Demons scream as their forms are burned away by an invisible flame, and navigators clutch at their skulls as star charts twist into shapes that defy comprehension. This is not merely a disturbance, it is a declaration. The Emperor, long thought entombed, stirs within the Golden Throne, his awakening shaking the foundations of the Imperium. For 10,000 years, humanity has relied on the Astronomican, a psychic beacon guiding starships through the warp, but now that beacon flares like a dying sun reignited with wrath. The custodians, once symbols of unwavering loyalty, fall to their knees not in reverence but in fear, sensing the presence of something vast and unimaginable awakening in the dark. Across the galaxy, every psychic-sensitive mind trembles as whispers thread through the warp, soft yet undeniable, "I return." This is the moment that changes everything, a turning point where the long night of silence is shattered and the final war looms on the horizon. The Imperium stands at the edge of an unknown abyss, and every being, loyalist and heretic alike, must confront the reality that the Emperor's return will not be gentle. The very air seems to bend, dust drifts upward as gravity falters, and an ancient power, older than the Imperium itself, begins to reclaim its dominion. Everything humanity has built, all its victories and failures, hangs in the balance, and the galaxy waits with bated breath for the moment when the Emperor's hand rises, signaling the dawn of a conflict unlike any before. The Golden Throne shudders as though it is alive, metal ribs groaning under a weight that feels older than time itself. Cables snap and sparks arc across the chamber, bathing the room in fleeting bursts of golden light that illuminate the frozen faces of tech priests and custodians alike. Servo skulls, once dutifully hovering, fall to the floor in shattered fragments, their lifeless eyes reflecting the eerie red glow of the failing lights. Every sound, every metallic creak, every whispered prayer, is magnified, echoing like the roar of a distant, unseen storm. The air itself trembles, thick and heavy, pressing against the lungs of anyone daring to stand near the throne. Slowly, impossibly, the Emperor stirs within his golden sarcophagus, his motion sending waves of psychic energy through the palace, and then across the stars. Psychers in distant systems writhe in agony as the tremors of his awakening ripple through the warp. Their screams are heard only in the mind, a chorus of terror as visions of impossible geometry and burning suns crash into their consciousness. Demons are not spared, their twisted forms scream and collapse into nothingness as if devoured by an unseen flame, the psychic presence of the Emperor erasing them as easily as one might wipe ink from a slate. Navigators clutch at their skulls, the star charts in front of them twisting into shapes unrecognizable to human eyes, constellations bending, splitting, and reforming in patterns that seem to mock the natural laws of the universe. Even the halls of the palace seem to react, dust rising from the ground as gravity itself falters, curling upward in slow, deliberate spirals. The custodians, those immortal sentinels of the Emperor's will, kneel not in reverence, but in a deep, instinctive fear, sensing the presence of a power that dwarfs even their understanding. Whispers, faint and melodic, thread through the warp, carrying a single, chilling phrase that resonates in every mind, near and far, "I return." The very foundations of Terra quiver, as if the planet itself recognizes the awakening of its godlike guardian, and the Imperium holds its collective breath, knowing that the silence that has held for 10,000 years is over. With every passing second, the Emperor's power grows, feeding on the fear, awe, and chaos around him, and the galaxy itself feels the pulse of a force that will either save humanity, or reshape it in ways no mortal mind could endure. Terra itself seems to recoil as the Golden Throne flexes under the Emperor's awakening, a colossal, almost living machine straining to contain a power that exceeds comprehension. The custodians scramble to maintain order, their polished armor reflecting the chaotic light as they fall into defensive formations, but even their immense strength feels insufficient. Tech priests hurry across the chamber, chants twisting into frantic cries as ritual machines fail and cogitators overload, sparks shooting into the crimson air. The very gravity of the throne room bends, creating impossible angles and distortions. Dust and debris drift upward as if mocking the natural order. The Emperor's golden armor, long thought invulnerable, begins to crack, faint fractures spreading across its surface as raw psychic energy courses through him, reshaping his form from a mere human husk into something divine, something terrifying. His hand lifts slowly, deliberately, and the effect is immediate and absolute. The air vibrates with an almost unbearable tension, and the hum of the Astronomican surges, brightening across the galaxy in a wave of light and energy that blinds and guides, terrifies and inspires. Far beyond Terra, star systems feel the shift. Ship navigators shiver, clutching at consoles that bend and twist under the psychic storm. Astropathic transmissions erupt in chaos, messages cracking, voices breaking under the weight of power. The High Lords of Terra are thrown into panic, their councils dissolving as the Emperor's presence overwhelms centuries of political machinations. Every advisor, every administrator, feels the tremor of impending change, an undeniable truth that the long night of silence has ended. The Imperial Palace, once a symbol of order and stability, is transformed into a cathedral of raw, uncontrollable power. Even those who have dedicated their lives to understanding the Emperor's will, the Adeptus Mechanicus, find their rituals failing, their sacred devices reduced to useless metal. And yet, amidst the terror and awe, there is a sense of inevitability, a force long suppressed is reclaiming its place in the universe. The custodian's fear is mirrored across every battlefield and every star system. Soldiers halt mid-strike, commanders pause mid-command, all sensing a presence greater than any doctrine, any war, any weapon. From the depths of the throne, the Emperor's awakening sends ripples through both the material and immaterial planes, heralding not only his return, but the collapse of old hierarchies, the rewriting of laws, and the shaping of a new destiny. The galaxy does not yet understand the scale of what is happening, but every mind that touches the psychic wave knows the same terrifying truth: the Emperor rises, and nothing, neither man, machine, nor demon, will ever remain unchanged. The Emperor's awakening does not merely shake Terra, it reverberates across the warp, threading into the very souls of the galaxy. Psychers everywhere are struck with visions too vast, too incomprehensible for mortal minds to hold. Some collapse in agony, their bodies convulsing as if the universe itself is pressing down on them. Others scream, clawing at their own faces, unable to comprehend the patterns of light and shadow twisting across the void of reality. Across countless star systems, the Primarchs feel it first, not through sight or sound, but through something deeper, a resonance that transcends space and time. Gilliman halts mid-command on Macridge, the weight of an impossible presence crashing into him, disrupting strategy and reason alike. Lionel Johnson falters in the depths of the Dark Angel's Fortress Monastery, bowing his head not in worship, but in fear at the immensity of what is stirring. Mortarion screams as his own soul is assaulted by a wave of pure psychic judgment, the rod of Nurgle's plague seeming to recede before the Emperor's overwhelming power. Angren's rage twists into terror, and in that instant he recognizes a force beyond the arena of mere battle, one that dwarfs even his fury and bloodlust. Across the Imperium, Eldar Farcers falter, unable to peer into the webway without their minds fracturing, as if the Emperor's consciousness pushes against the psychic lattice that binds their craft worlds. Even Orc Psychers, crude and violent, are thrown into spasms, their minds cracking under the strain of power no greenskin could ever comprehend. The demons of the warp, long reveling in chaos and torment, feel the presence of something pure, something absolute, and they recoil, screaming as the Emperor's psychic aura burns across the immaterial plane, erasing and reshaping at once. The whisper spreads, faint yet unmistakable, threading through every mind capable of sensing it: I return. No corner of the galaxy escapes its reach. Even the most distant, uninhabited sectors feel the pressure of raw will, the inevitability of change. Entire fleets halt mid-jump, astropathic messages falter into silence, and every living mind sensitive to the warp trembles in awe and terror. Time seems to slow as the scale of the Emperor's presence is understood. He is no longer a figure bound to the Golden Throne, he is a cosmic force asserting dominion over reality itself. The galaxy, vast and sprawling, holds its breath. Every army, every demon, every mind with the faintest psychic thread knows the same truth. The long silence is broken, and a force older than the Imperium has returned to reclaim its place. The final war is no longer approaching, it has already begun in the hearts and minds of all who dwell in the universe. The Astronomican flares with a brilliance that blinds and overwhelms, a psychic sun reborn in fury and wrath. Across the Imperium, starships pause mid-flight, their NAV lights flickering as the beacon pulses with a force beyond comprehension. Warp storms shudder and crackle as the Emperor's presence asserts itself, cleansing the immaterium of demons and chaos taint alike, leaving only a calm, terrifying silence in its wake. Planets light up with sudden clarity, systems long lost to the darkness now visible to navigators, their charts finally aligning to the Emperor's renewed will. On Terra, the custodians, still on trembling knees, look up at their liege with awe and dread as the throne bends and hums under the weight of divine power. The Emperor's gaze, though unseen, reaches across light years, touching every mind capable of understanding even a fragment of his presence. Even the farthest, most isolated outposts of the Imperium feel the pulse, a wave that inspires hope in the faithful, fear in the heretic, and pure, raw terror in the enemies of humanity. Every Primarch, whether loyal or estranged, senses the inevitable tide. They feel the call, the summoning of a war that cannot be delayed or avoided. Across the galaxy, demonic forces scream and dissipate, torn apart by the purity of the Emperor's psychic might. Cults falter, inquisitors tremble as their prophecies collapse into meaninglessness, and even those who have plotted in secret for eons realize that the scales have shifted irreversibly. The galaxy is no longer governed by chance or chaos, a singular, divine will now imposes itself, sweeping across stars and planets with unrelenting force. The Emperor's awakening is not quiet, not subtle, it is absolute, a declaration of authority older than time, reshaping reality and destiny alike. The psychic wave spreads farther still, threading through star systems, affecting every living creature sensitive to the immaterium, leaving an imprint that will echo for generations. Whispers repeat in the minds of all who hear them, a soft but omnipresent message, I return. The silence of 10,000 years is broken, and in that rupture, the galaxy feels the full weight of what is coming. The final war is not a threat or a prophecy, it has begun. Every soldier, every commander, every Primarch, every demon, and every psychic sensitive being knows the same truth. The Emperor has awakened, the Astronomican burns brighter than any sun, and the Imperium, fragile and sprawling, stands at the edge of a new epoch. There is no turning back, no shelter from the storm, and no hope for those who oppose him. The universe itself waits, trembling, as the long night ends and the final war erupts in fury, fire, and unyielding power. The galaxy holds its breath, caught between awe and terror, as the Emperor stands, finally free within the Golden Throne. Silence stretches across worlds, broken only by the faint echo of a heartbeat, steady now, absolute, and unyielding. Across Terra, the custodians rise, their trembling hands gripping weapons they no longer need, for this is not a battle fought with steel or gunfire. It is a reckoning of will, a confrontation with a power older than the stars themselves. From the edges of the Imperium, fleets watch in stunned silence, their commanders unsure whether to give thanks or prepare for war, for the awakening of the Emperor is both salvation and judgment. Every Primarch, every loyalist, every foe and demon senses the shift, the universe itself bending to the presence of one being whose power can remake or destroy with a thought. The Astronomican blazes brighter than any sun, a psychic lighthouse cutting through the dark tides of the warp, guiding humanity but also warning those who dare oppose it. Across space, whispers thread through the minds of all who can hear, carrying the same chilling, simple truth, I return. In that moment, hope and fear become indistinguishable, intertwined in a single overwhelming pulse that courses through every soul in the Imperium. The long night has ended, 10,000 years of silence shattered by the rebirth of a god among men. Plans forged over centuries crumble in an instant, armies halt mid-march, and demons flee the warp in panic, sensing the arrival of a force beyond their comprehension. And yet, amidst the terror, there is promise. The Emperor's presence brings order where chaos once reigned, purpose where despair had settled, and a chance for humanity to rise or fall depending on their courage, loyalty, and resilience. The final war is no longer coming, it has begun, stretching from the throne room on Terra to the farthest edge of the galaxy. Every living mind, every psychic-sensitive being, every creature that exists in the material or immaterial plane feels the shift, the undeniable certainty that the universe will never be the same. The Emperor's eyes, unseen yet piercing, sweep across the stars, judging, commanding, awakening destiny itself. The Imperium stands at the threshold of a new epoch, fragile yet filled with potential, trembling beneath a power that can save it or annihilate it. There is no retreat, no hiding, no escape. Only one truth remains: the Emperor has awakened, the final war has begun, and the galaxy will burn, shine, and endure under his unyielding will.